And we're late again, and that's my fault. So I'm so sorry. But we're here. Me and Turkish are here. How are you?
I'm good, man. You?
Good. I mean, fair play to production. They've got us in all ends of the studio. We were, obviously you guys won't know that, but we've had the TV behind us. Now we're back with the wall and the famous pictures.
Thought you might get bored of just seeing us two every day, but yeah, we'll change up the background.
Let's change the background. No, but fair enough. Because like I've mentioned on several shows, AFTV content's still happening. So you are going to get a bias show, I believe, right?
That's bias show recorded today.
They've got an Invincibles
recorded
podcast.
Forever
and lots of
Arsenal
stuff.
still running.
Forever Arsenal still running. And we've got some really exciting stats-based shows that I know aren't everyone's cup of tea, but I was talking to Cass on the phone, and I was saying, think of a cross between Tactical Insight and Supporters Club, where we're going to indulge in it. We're going to take the stats as talking topics, basically. So I'm looking forward to it. If I ever give you a little, like, because I was doing the prep today, a little, what's it called? A little, like a
brainstorm.
No. The word I'm thinking of is trailer, but it's not trailer. Like a little preview of like what kind of stats we've got coming up. So
synopsis.
Here's one of my favourite ones. Guess how many wins we've had? Well, you know how many wins we've had against Big Six teams this season.
3.
Guess how many we had last season?
All in all, last season,
yeah.
Off the top of my head, if the time was running down, we definitely have Chelsea, definitely have Tottenham. We have a United one, 3.
3, and the year before that?
Chelsea, United, Tottenham, 3.
We've already matched the amount of wins against Big Six opposition as we have done in Arteta's previous 2 full seasons. That's the kind of thing we're going to be discussing, guys. We'll be pulling out some stats like that, comparing our start to how the Invincibles started, looking at where Arsenal teams have been top at Christmas, have finished in the past, that kind of stuff. That's all coming in a show called Behind the Numbers.
We're going to add in, the opposition. We're going to look at who was top after 14 games in the previous 4 seasons and compare it to where we are now and how they ended and how we think it might end for Arsenal this season.
That's exactly it. So that's coming very shortly, very soon, in the coming days, whenever it is. So look out for that as well on the channel. Lots coming up on AFTV, lots still to happen in the Arsenal world, because Danilo is apparently available in January. We'll get the full report up in a second here on the iPad. But essentially, I think the first thing I want to ask before we go into the information and everything around that is, I'm not asking you to pass comment on Danilo the player. I don't watch the Brazilian league that much and all that. But what I will ask is, what does an incoming central midfielder need to be for you in terms of experience, in terms of position, in terms of the profile, that kind of stuff? What does he need to be for you?
Obviously, someone that can back Partey up, but not only back him up, someone that can push Partey and potentially get more out of Partey, considering a bit of competition in that position. I'm looking at a player, either mid-20s, heading into his mid-20s, with, quite a bit of experience, but still to see his best days. How old is Danilo?
I want to say 21.
Okay, so he's still young. And in terms of profile, I just want someone confident on the ball, someone that will look to break the lines, but when he knows he can. Because obviously that position is so vital. Losing the ball in the middle can cost you goals, can cost you chances against, and make the job harder for Saliba, Gabriel, Ramsdale. So I just want someone that, ball security, but has the confidence to break the lines as well. Not only with passing, but as well as on the ball too. Partey does that to a very high standard as long as he's playing and he's fit. Someone that's kind of an interesting proposition, especially in that Partey position. Yeah,
I think I want someone who... Look, I have changed my mind, guys. You go back to all the Forever Arsenal podcasts where we were debating it. That's the show where we debated it more than any other. Yeah. Do we need a starter over Xhaka, or do we need cover for Partey? And I was saying, listen, ideally, imagine we had Tielemans and we were going Tielemans, Partey, Odegaard all season. Would that be brilliant? But Xhaka's played to a level beyond anything I expect. I just don't see how we could possibly even spend the money on a player that is going to come and displace who, for me, has been our player of the season. Now, we know that Partey, when he gets injured, that there does feel a gap in that midfield. So I have changed my mind. I think we need serious cover for Partey, but who you could also use to play as a box-to-box if it kind of came to that, which is
Yeah.
why I think Douglas Luiz was talked about before, and I saw people who knew more about him. Of course, I've seen him at Villa a few times, but he was very much playing as the deeper of a midfield three. People saying, look, he's still got the energy to get forward, he still gets goals, you've got a good strike on him. You know, Douglas Luiz could be covered for Partey whilst doing a job as an 8 as well. So we know he's now signed a new contract at Villa. But it leaves me wondering whether that's what Danilo might be. Now, what we've got here, this is from James Ollie and ESPN, an exclusive. He says that Arsenal faced competition from Ajax and Monaco for Palmeiras midfielder Danilo after the Brazilian club indicated they would be willing to accept around 24 million euros. Now, apparently, the big reason why this deal wasn't possible in the summer is because the way their season, I think, works out, particular competition. I don't want to say which one in case I get it wrong. They basically wanted him to basically stay on for that. Could be now that after that he's more available than he would have been in the summer. Apparently Mikel Arteta's side inquired about the 21-year-old in the summer, but were told Palmeiras had no interest in selling while pursuing their 11th Brazilian Serie A title, which they then claimed at the beginning of the month with a 4-0 win over Fortaleza. That might be filling in the gaps of my knowledge there. So sources have told ESPN that Palmeiras has since softened their stance, which led Arsenal to revive their interest as they search for a central midfielder to strengthen the squad. Okay, so that all makes sense in terms of availability. Sounds like a bit like Guimaraes in January. This is a player, I think both his moves have come in January's. I believe he joined Lyon January 2019 or 2020, and then joined Newcastle January 2022.
That's for sure.
Let me know if I'm right about that first move. But Danilo, midfielder, could be available in January, and he strikes me from the comps I've seen on YouTube from Football Manager as a box-to-box who can cover, but I think is more of an energetic 8.
Okay.
Comments? Is that fair? You let us know. What do you think?
Well, I've only watched comps and I've just read, reports on him. And he's an interesting proposition. Interesting. But then, we have Lokonga as well, who's come in, who's, of an age where you would have hoped he'd kind of be knocking on the door. Ideally in the 8, but maybe the 6-2, considering he's had more opportunities in that position. So that's why I tend to lean towards someone with a bit more experience. But at the same time, I trust Arteta and they do a lot more than I did maybe 18 months ago.
Yep.
So I'm going to leave it to them, because over the last 2 summer windows especially, they've done some business that, made me think, what is this club doing? But here we are 18 months later praising them for that same business. Or here I am praising them for that same business. So I think it's just a case of trusting them now and hoping that, the Kroenkes see this opportunity in January and see this opportunity this season as one to try and, take hold of. Because I understand FFP and I understand the limitations and whatnot, but FFP is judged on a 3-year turnaround, I believe. So if you invest a bit heavily, if you go into the red in January, but you make Champions League football, or we win the league, you make that money back and more.
Sure. Yeah,
so when you're looking at the 3-year turnaround, that overpayment in January, or that input of finances in January, kind of even itself out if you kind of achieve at the end of the season. And I know just making Champions League is not an achievement for me, it's not success for me, but it brings in a hell of a lot of money. And there's not too much difference finishing first and second in terms of money. There is in terms of success and glory and history and so on. But in terms of money, I think this is a January window now that it's set up for us to try. And when was the last time we really tried to get something over the line? So I just think, now is the time. And on top of what you mentioned, I've got some quotes as well. A Brazilian journalist called Jorge Nicola for Sport Witness, he hinted that Danilo could be on the move in January as well. He insinuated that we made a 21 million bid in the summer, and he said if this proposal, the 21 million bid, is repeated by Arsenal, then Palmeiras will end up negotiating the deal. So like you said, it was a case of them getting over the line in their competitions before maybe seeking, the move. And on top of that, Danilo's also has some quotes from UOL Esporte. I see myself mature enough to be able to play in any competition in the world. I'm ready, he says. I prefer not to get involved with these transfer issues. I told my manager to only talk to me if it's the right thing. Then we sit down, talk to Palmeiras and decide what's best for everyone.
Sounds like he's got a very mature mindset to it all.
Yeah,
and I think that's right. When you're that age, you want to make sure you get the right one and not just be desperate to jump at whatever opportunity comes.
And I already seen a lot of, well, not a lot, but a few comments mentioning not Premier League proven. But how else can you prove yourself in the Premier League without getting the opportunity to? And as I mentioned before, Arsenal are not the club to get a player in their prime and, just spend over the odds and take a player from a rival.
Well, Athletic wants Rice for 70 million, and I'm like, I actually rate Rice massively, but again, is he coming to play? There's debate amongst Arsenal West Ham fans who's better, Partey or Rice, but I think in the context of Rice coming to Arsenal, he doesn't start over Thomas Partey because of look how long it's taken to get Partey ready for that role in the way Arteta wants him. So even if it's not a debate on quality, you just feel that the big money's not going to go on that position. It's going to be on someone who's actually going to have the time to learn it and grow into it.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I think you need to give chances, especially with Arsenal. We haven't got the financial facilities of Manchester City or Man United even, or it seems Chelsea, even with their new owner, they spent a hell of a lot of money in the summer. So we have to be shrewd with our business, possibly look at Dortmund and the way they do it, and not only looking at Dortmund and taking what they do and kind of replicating it, because as much as Dortmund have been a successful team over the years and they've been they've been in the top tier competitions, that they've fallen off a bit, obviously, in comparison to Jurgen Klopp's heyday. They get good young players. They get a good fee for them. If we can mix a bit of that with the right levels of experience, then this club can really go places. So, Premier League proven or not, Odegaard wasn't Premier League proven.
No,
he stepped in, done well. Saka, Martinelli, before they was given an opportunity, they wasn't Premier League proven. They've stepped in and done well. Partey coming from Athletic, Saliba, Gabriel, so on. Most of our players were not Premier League proven, having come into the club, and here we are top of the league. So I wouldn't dwell too much on that. Like I said, it's about trusting Arteta and Edu more than possibly me and a lot of you guys might have been doing in the past 18 months.
KSSMYW says, incorrect, James, he's a 6. And we have a super chat from The Light, says, in Prem, he will be a 6. Fernandinho Light. So there we go. Thank you, comments. Tell me more. Because I really don't know enough about Danilo. That's not to say I won't get extremely excited, because I just like new signings. Dave Jordan says, I don't mind signing Danilo personally, but it seems odd people are gagging for January signings to strengthen a title bid, but want a 21-year-old who's never played outside of Brazil. That's a fair comment from Dave in terms of you want the signing that's going to take us to the title, but we're talking about one for the future again. That is a fair point. And with this Tielemans thing, people must get so bored of me bringing him up, but do you remember when City won the title in 2018-19, so the second season under Guardiola, so his second title, and they ended the season with Gundogan playing as the holding midfielder, I think because Rodri hadn't signed and Fernandinho was either injured or not playing as well or whatever. So Gundogan ended the season with De Bruyne, David Silva, Bernardo around him. Now, you could look at that and go, well, very similar players, very technically gifted, blah, blah, but he was disciplined enough and had enough defensive nous to just sit at the base. I kind of wonder whether Tielemans could do a similar thing in that, he's not an out-and-out defensive midfielder for a whole season, but if he's seen as the one for 3-4-5 games, but ultimately, okay, you're going to lose a little bit defensively, but he's about getting the ball, moving on, his passing range is superb, his positioning is brilliant. Maybe Tielemans is that 8 who can slot into 6, and then there's your solution.
I get you, because on one hand, I say Tielemans has the quality to play that position, but has he got the mentality to? And by that, I mean, I might be wrong. I don't know much about him, but he just seems more of a headline grabber. And by that, I mean someone that wants to be, in and around the box, scoring goals, getting assists, being the talking point. Whereas I think that 6 row is more a player that doesn't mind going under the radar, doesn't mind not being at the forefront of, the success or when people talk about top 3, top 5 players, they don't mind not being recognised. Whereas Tielemans, for me, I don't know what makes me think that. He has the quality to, but by mentality, I mean, will he be happy just providing or helping things tick along, or just being a big part of our transition but not a big part of how it ends in the final third? That's just my only doubts about him in that position. But he has the quality too. He can break the lines, he can run with the ball too. He's got the technical quality, in my opinion. He can go both ways, and when you're in the middle of the park, going both ways is very important. Big up Santi Cazorla on that one. And big up Partey as well. I mean, obviously not as good as Santi, but Partey does that very well too. So Quality, yes. Tielemans, mentality, I have my doubts about him in that position.
You know how for a lot of this season, Arsenal have just been getting the ball, keeping it, and just relentlessly passing it around opposition, and then pressing well in the right areas and moving as a cohesive unit. It makes me think you don't need that holding midfielder to be an absolute defensive demon to carry out what the main plan is, which is we're going to kill you with every pass. So that's where I think, you were just watching Spain earlier, and okay, difference in level of opposition in fairness, but ultimately they just pass. And Busquets wasn't in there because of his physicality, it's because of intelligence and use of the ball. So yeah, that is why I still don't overlook Tielemans as someone who could just slot in as a stopgap for a couple of games. But because the thing with Partey's injuries, and wow, am I going to touch wood as I say this? He hasn't been getting like 3-4 month injuries. They've been muscle injury. They've been, a month here or a couple of weeks here and there, like really irritating ones. Like, okay, we need someone to do a job till. Yeah. Which is why I think El Neni was seen as the solution on a short-term deal, because he does just keep it ticking. And of course, you still have El Neni.
Yeah, I think I look back at Tielemans' last season and the season before, towards the end, where he'd lose the ball a couple of times. He won't have that fight and determination to try get it back. And I think that's why I lean towards, does he have the mentality for that more so than an argument about quality? He has the quality, for sure, to play in that position. But things I've seen of him over the years, I have my doubts. But at the same time, a step up to Arsenal, to do a job in a team that's challenging for the title, potentially winning a title, getting into Champions League and so on. I guess certain players have to humble themselves a bit and be part of the team more so than be the star or one of the stars of the team. And if Tielemans was willing to do that, which is hard to tell until given an opportunity, I have my doubts about him in the 6, but I'd take Tielemans for sure, not necessarily for the 6, but because he improves our options in the midfield, in the 8 position as well. He gives us something different. Not that Xhaka is not reliable. In terms of fitness, he's been very reliable over the years. In terms of quality and consistency, he's been very reliable this season. So I agree with you. I'm looking more for support and backup for Partey than I am maybe a rotation option with Xhaka. But at the same time, if a Tielemans is available for 15 mil, then you go for it.
The risk, doesn't it?
Belgium international as well. Like, we can't, on one hand, people are saying Lokonga needs time, he needs to be sent out on loan, he needs to do this, he needs to do that. Well, it is what it is. Let's bring in the guy that does start for Belgium. Let's bring in the guy that does play an important role. So,
Saksham says we need Euro for a good squad. We will get that quality player on get that quality of player for minimum 50 million, if not for free. It would feel, if you're getting Euro Tielemans for 15 million, 15, it would feel like that's a good 30 million off what he's probably really worth.
Yeah, 100%. And you could still make profit within 18 months. So let's say the first 6 months didn't go as planned, and then his first full season at the club doesn't go as planned. You've got a player there that's still there's some value there, whether it's 20, 25, 30 mil, whether it's more. I think it's a win-win risk to take, if I'm honest.
Tielemans played the 6th role for Leicester this season, says Howie 411. Fair enough. I don't know if is that absolutely true. I think if he does, I think it's quite a condensed midfield, in fairness. I'm not sure.
And Dave makes a good point. Whoever we sign as an 8 needs to be able to beat a press. Xhaka struggles because he's so stiff, and Odegaard is so one-footed, he struggles too. And he mentioned as well, getting the ball, until we sign an 8 that can receive the ball with his back to goal in the first phase. Games like Newcastle and Palace last season are always possible to happen again, 100%.
A really good point.
Especially when you're dealing with low blocks and teams that are set up to stifle and frustrate you more so than teams that set up to beat you.
Yeah. Well, I think more's going to come from this midfield stuff, this January transfer window stuff. I think we're going to keep learning, and there's always kind of a mystery player that kind of comes out of nowhere. I think Zinchenko was a little bit that going into the summer. While he was a player I liked, we weren't really linked with him. And then suddenly, boom, we're going for Zinchenko. Now there was a comment I really enjoyed. Where was it? It was basically, no one cares about Arsenal. Shut up and talk about the World Cup. Where's the comment? I can't find it.
Is that the ops on the live? Yeah.
Something like that. Anyway, listen. Let's talk about it, because Tomiyasu came on for Japan. I didn't really catch much of the second half. But Japan would have turned around. I thought they were getting, not battered in terms of Germany playing well, just statistically it looked very one-sided.
It was up until the second half, if I'm honest with you.
Yeah.
It was very one-sided. I'm pretty much like you. I thought the game was done and dusted.
Do you know what it was? First half, I thought Germany were clearly the better team, but also I didn't think they were doing a lot with their dominance. It kind of looked like they should score, but they're not, and they don't. I don't know. I haven't been particularly convinced by Germany. But
Gnabry was very poor as well.
Was he?
For some, I love Gnabry, but he was very poor, and he's one of the go-to guys.
Work with the with the wide forward wizard Arteta.
But I'm reading about Tommy, and I saw a bit of him. I was in and out of the second half, and apparently he stirred up the defense. He helped them play out of tight situations. We know he's both-footed and he can help. But I also heard that he picked up what seems like it might be an injury. Some people are saying cramp, but when you play 20, I think he came over 20, 25 minutes.
Right.
I'd lean away from cramp and say it seems like it's a muscle problem, which has been the story of his Arsenal career so far.
Such a shame because he's got a history of recurring injuries at Arsenal. We know that he really struggled to get over that calf injury at first. Calf, as mentioned by Dr. Raj Brahil, saying that they're the kind of muscle that you will get repeat injuries. It will affect, maybe getting injuries in other areas because it's just such a crucial part. It's used every day, like just to walk. Like you're putting strain on it in some way, shape or form. So, I hope he's all right because he's got his minutes of the World Cup, and that's kind of in one sense, a box ticked and a massive achievement. But it won't be about that for him. For him, it will be, I want to actually help Japan. They've now beaten Germany. You get that first win, you've got a massive chance of going through. I'm not sure who else is in their group.
Japan, Germany. I can't remember off the top of my head.
But ultimately, they're left in a good position. Japan, you've got it all there.
Well, this is my big 6 note, so let me just quickly look.
All these notes.
Oh, it's Spain and Costa Rica. So Germany, Japan, Spain, and Costa Rica. So it's Germany are going to need to get something from Spain.
Spain are in the same group as Germany.
Yep. Unless they are. Just for confirmation, chat. Unless I've got it horribly wrong here, but Spain, Germany, Japan, and Costa Rica.
I feel like I would have noticed that.
Joshua confirms that here. So it is Spain and Costa Rica. So they need to get.
So what are they
something
facing? We're just having a little look now.
Oh, if it comes down to that last one, it'll be very interesting.
How did that just completely you look at the group, see, I wonder what big games we've got coming soon. Yeah, they're going to face at some point.
Yeah.
Wow.
So.
Okay. He'll want to be a part of that massively. Let's see who they've got next. Japan, Costa Rica. That's the next one. So maybe.
That's Germany, Spain.
Germany, Spain, Sunday night. Oh, just when I thought I was having a day off. No, I'm not.
Not with the World Cup on.
No, I am not. That'll be good. Croatia, Canada. The game before that should be a decent one as well. Actually,
should be. Croatia were a bit flat.
Yeah, they were
if you
flat,
could call it that.
Yeah.
They're a bit over the hill now, I'd say, a lot of their stars. So, I don't think we're going to get the Croatia we've seen in recent tournaments anyway.
Have you seen Google, next to their results, have been putting, updates near certain games? So, I saw it, I might find a Premier League example, but, so Group E, Germany, Japan, and they've got a little fire emoji, and it says, exciting, Japan is victorious despite being generally outplayed. It's like... What is this commentary? Exciting. Saudi Arabia with upset win over Argentina. Okay.
Those two results really set the World Cup alight, though.
Yeah.
And both are similar. Both in the first half, it seemed like, Argentina were going to run away with it. Germany were going to secure the win in the second half. Both Saudi Arabia and Japan kind of fix up and come out a different team and both secure the wins. 2 goals in the second half, keeping a clean sheet. And 2 of the biggest upsets in World Cup history, let's be honest.
Yeah. Japan have always had a degree of World Cup pedigree. I've just always sort of enjoyed watching Japan at World Cups. Here you go. Just little updates that are popping up. Just fair enough. And I think they've started doing ratings now. I don't know. Anyway, you get Google ratings. Why do I find that interesting? God knows. So, any more World Cup talk? Anything else? Spain looked good. Did we touch on that?
Yeah, touched on that, but they definitely look good. But obviously, Costa Rica are one of the poorer outfits in the World Cup this season. Prior to the tournament starting, I looked at the odds, and right at the bottom it was Qatar, Costa Rica, and Saudi Arabia, all 750 to 1, I believe it was.
Right.
Saudi Arabia have probably improved themselves after the win against Argentina, even though winning a World Cup it's not going to happen. But I just think, Spain just done their business, kept the clean sheet on top of it. If I was Spanish, I'd worry about the lack of a real striker with pedigree. But at the same time, we've seen them, perform at a high level without striker before. We mentioned David Villa, when we was in the office together. David Villa is one of my favourite strikers in the last, however many years or since I've been alive. Definitely one of my favourites. But I think the lack of a real potent striker for them will cause them to trip up somewhere along the line. But at the same time, after the opening games, if you ask me who's going to win the World Cup now, I still lean towards Argentina or Brazil, even though Argentina kind of, fucked up the first game.
Yeah,
Brazil
we'll
are
see
yet
Brazil
to play.
for the first time tomorrow night.
And a very tough game, Brazil-Serbia. I mean,
Yeah.
Serbia have got a team there. They've got a midfielder I'd take above all of the ones we've mentioned, Milinkovic-Savic.
Yeah.
He's the one I would want, but in January, that's impossible, if not highly unlikely, if not impossible.
Joe scored today for Spain is Carlos Soler. He got his move to PSG in the summer. He was at Valencia before, and he was a midfielder who, at least profile-wise, looked like what I would have wanted in an Arsenal team. Kind of elegant on the ball, good box-to-box, can get goals as well. King Darwin says Japan are a great side. They've got some very good players. Our very own Tomiyasu, Mitoma as well. Who started brilliantly at Brighton. Was Minamino? I think I heard his name on commentary. But yeah, they've got some good players, and they've got some really quick players as well. So even in that first half, when it looked like Germany were largely in control, they had that disallowed goal. I can't remember who it was that was offside, but it was just an example of how quickly they can hit you the other way.
Yeah, because it's not just quality that wins you games. It's hard work, desire, passion, application.
Yeah.
And, a lot of countries might not have the quality that Germany has, as Spain has, and Argentina, Brazil, etc. But what you can't account for is the passion, determination, desire, the fire in their belly. And we've seen that from Saudi Arabia, and we saw that today from Japan. It can win you games.
Takuma Asano won the game for them today.
I don't know why people are saying Wenger's done it again. Like, I don't support Japan. I support Arsenal. So what the fuck is Asano scoring a goal against Germany got to do?
But also, I don't think he got any minutes in an Arsenal shirt. Maybe like a handful.
If that, and if he did get minutes, it
he
probably
was young when we
League
signed
Cup.
him. He was like 21.
21, yeah, 2021.
But we're also talking like 10 years ago now.
Yeah, I mean,
When
we've done
was
that
this?
a few times. What about Park Young-Chu as well? We signed him. He was South Korea's captain, I believe, at the time, and then he didn't get any minutes. Or Park Chu-young, I forgot which one it was, but yeah.
Yeah, let me have a little look at Takuma Asano's time at Arsenal.
Got
No
loaned out.
appearances.
Yeah.
Not one. He was on loan at Stuttgart, Hanover, Partizan, and I think he's still with... now he's with Bochum. Have I pronounced that right?
Oh, yeah, the German side.
Yeah. So, great goal, by the way. Runs in behind.
Yeah. Finish.
Nice touch. Brilliant finish. Well done to him.
Big moment.
Let's talk about some other news. You got some stuff.
Yeah, I
jotted
mean-
down. Is it Saliba related?
Yeah, on Saliba, I mean, I just saw it today. GFFN confirms that the France squad members who did not feature versus Australia last night will play Qatari First Division side Al Gharafa tonight in a friendly match. So I assume Saliba will be part of that. I'm a bit not necessarily worried, but I am worried. I just don't want to hear any nonsense, because obviously we want Saliba back ready and fit. So a friendlies during a World Cup is a bit I get it, but I
strange,
don't get it. It's one of them. I get it on one hand when I think about, all right, just in case you need to call on them in the next couple of games, they have a bit of match fitness there. But I don't get it in terms of, well, if they didn't start the first game, they're unlikely to start the second game. Their opportunity probably comes in the third game if they win the first two.
Yeah.
Having pretty much secured qualification. So it's one of those ones where, listen, I don't care as long as Saliba comes out of it, all flying colours, no injuries, no problems. I don't care what they do. But I will care if we hear any bad news, for sure.
Yeah. Taking it back to the Takuma Asano stuff, people remind me in the comments that he couldn't get work permit. That was why. Work permit issues, went on a lot of loans.
Rio Miyachi, I remember him as well.
Yeah.
Someone in the comments
had a
said
few
it.
very good outings in the cup, actually. But yeah, it didn't quite happen for him.
And further on Saliba, taking it a bit away from the World Cup, but Jonathan Johnson, a French-based football correspondent, he told Give Me Sport, it's my understanding that there is likely to be a contract extension in the next couple of months, and that's regarding William Saliba, reportedly tripling his current earnings, which are about 40, 50k. and tying him down for a further 5 years, which will take him to 2028. Obviously, there's not much base behind that. It was just a French-based journalist for Give Me Sport. So I looked back and picked out Arteta's quotes from last month, and just a reminder to people that didn't hear it. Arteta said, obviously, and this is very honest and open as well, something that we all debated over the last 2.5 years. He said, obviously, the way the relationship started and how he went on loan, came back and went again, if that was a bit of damage there, because obviously he had certain expectations and something happened, but again, he was so committed and so focused just to play for Arsenal that I think it took all of us a little bit of surprise. So if I look at how he talks about the club and how much he wants to be here, I have no doubts that he wants to continue to be here. So obviously there was conversations that were had between Saliba and Arteta, maybe Edu, etc., because it probably didn't sit well with him being loaned that year on year. But at the same time, the way he started the season, the trust Arteta's given him, putting him straight into the starting lineup, moving Ben White to right back, how he's kind of connected with the fans already, the way he celebrates goals. I believe Arteta that, that's all I can really go off, what Arteta says at the moment in time, because Saliba hasn't really... Martinelli has already hinted, give me the pen. Saka has already hinted at how happy he is. Saliba, not so much yet. So with Arteta's comments there and then Jonathan Johnson's comments to Give Me Sport, I'm hoping that is the case because it is vital.
I think that level of honesty will be largely appreciated from the Saliba camp. I think if Arteta went on this whole, it was always a plan, blah, 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 and then you got maybe the other side going, was it though? I'm not sure. That's not how we remember it. Then it's these little things that maybe can create a little bit of distrust. I'm not saying one side of the story is true and the other isn't, but I'm just saying if those are the opposing beliefs. Saliba's always said very publicly he's happy with the way things have gone and all that, and he's basically been very supportive of the way he's kind of been treated when it comes to the loans. So, I think Arteta coming out and going, well, let's hope that let's hope that with everything that's happened, there's an understanding of why things went the way they did and move on from there. Listen, we debated this several times. I've done it on a live show courtesy the other day. I did it with Gunnar Lee. If you're prioritising contracts, a Saliba one is right up there just because of that slight danger in terms of is he as all in? I'm not questioning his commitment. I'm not questioning his commitment. I'm just saying, he'd been living in France for a few years. He'd been doing really well there. Does he have his heart on another club? Those kind of things. And I just hope he seems to be loving life at Arsenal. He's playing so well. That's why
I've previously said, if I was to wake up tomorrow morning or on January the 1st and I could pick what news I'd want to see opening my phone or laptop, ahead of Milinkovic-Savic signs, ahead of Tielemans signs, ahead of all of these signings, I'd love to wake up to Saka, Martinelli, Saliba have signed a new contract. Because
I agree.
First things first, we need to get those done. Now, there could be an argument that you buy a Milinkovic-Savic or you buy a Frankie de Jong or you buy a Zaha. That helps get them contracts over the line because it's showing ambition. And yes, you might be right. But in terms of what I want to hear next, I just want them contracts to be secured because in terms of Arsenal right now, I'm in such a good place that is the only thing that I'm worried about moving forward. Whether we win the league or not, that's cool.
Sure.
That's cool because I didn't expect to win the league this year. If we challenge, great. Of course, great. But those 3 contracts in particular need to be ironed out, sorted with immediate effect. I just want to wake up to news that they've signed. That's all I want to see.
Adon Pica says, James, how do you see Asensio in the Spain game? Though he scored, he doesn't look sharp in front of goal, in my opinion. He's a player we've been linked with a little bit. I think it might be because he's available on a free or at least...
But I think he's... Am I wrong in maybe the chat? Am I wrong in saying he's about to sign a new contract, or he's already said he wants to sign a new contract at Real?
Maybe he is.
I think he said he'd take a 10-year contract to stay there the rest of his career. So
he's undoubtedly got serious quality.
Yeah,
serious quality.
He didn't kick on from his potential. He hasn't. I think lived
the
up
injury.
To that, but yeah, 100%.
He did have a big injury. I think it was a knee that I think it just slowed him down massively.
Knees. If you haven't watched that Ronaldo documentary on BBC, where it's a DAZN documentary, but it was on BBC for the people living in the UK. That Ronaldo R9, the real Ronaldo documentary, knee problems. It's a sad story, but it's a very happy ending. And knees in general I think, who was the player in the Premier League? Was it West Ham? Was it Dean Ashton?
Right.
He had to retire early from knee problems. Knee problems are the worst injuries in football, in my opinion, because even if you operate on a knee, it never comes back 100%. I've had I've had one knee up. I need another knee up now. I know it never comes back to its full capability. So,
but that's why whenever I talk about Bellerin and Holding's drop in form and the levels that they can get to, I've always said pre their injuries, I thought Holding looked far more comfortable as a ball player than he does now, and I thought Bellerin looked a lot faster than he did before, and that is it. Like, these knee injuries can be so difficult to recover from.
100%.
Yeah.
I might have been a bit lighter on Bellerin had he not done the whole London Fashion Week, Paris Fashion Week, Milan Fashion Week, all of that stuff. But yeah, knee injuries do play a part, but so does taking your mind off football and acting like you're UK's Spanish next top model.
What other news have you got for me?
That's it. My paper's done. Here we are. We've got the big 6 notes. That's ready for tomorrow night. So
People are asking when the next big 6 is.
Next big 6 is tomorrow night. So what I'm doing with the big 6 is after every round of fixtures. So tomorrow night we're going to record the next. Well, we're going live on the next big 6 because round 1 of fixtures is done. Friday round 2 starts. Round 2 ends on Monday. So we're back on Monday night. Then I think the next round ends on Friday, so Friday night. So they're coming thick and fast. And then after the last 16 quarters, semi-finals, and then Sunday, 18th of December, I want to say, we'll be doing a World Cup review, final review, and all that. So look out for a couple Sunday shows moving forward as well, just to make sure we fit it in between the rounds.
Nice. Good stuff. The big 6. The gift that keeps on giving. Of course, Forever Arsenal as well. More of that to come.
Friday, recording another one.
But yeah, do you know what I'm going to do? Because, there's been a kind of slightly shorter show in terms of news. Just going to open up to you guys any questions you want to ask, things you got on your mind about Arsenal or anything. Arsenal have an option for another year on William Saliba, says St. Anthony.
How true is that?
That was said by.
I thought that was Martinelli has an extra year. I didn't hear Saliba.
I heard Saliba. I read Saliba from some journos, but again, I don't know how confirmed that is, and also I don't know if that's which side that is as well, and all that. You know what I did want to ask you about, actually, just going through Twitter very quickly. Man United up for sale, as well as Liverpool, Chelsea have just had the sale go through. Now, I know how you feel about the ownership, and I don't want to go into all that because I think even by your admission, things are going well, despite how you might feel and all that. But what I want to ask is, what do you think has sparked all this? Is it now fan noise being heard and listened to more than ever? I don't mean noise in a like I'm playing it down sense. I just mean the fact that more than ever, how fans feel about their ownership, and they're demonstrating that in some great ways as well. Is it the Super League not going ahead? What do you think is causing the Glazers and FSG to sell?
I think you said it there. I think it. For me, my first instinct, as soon as I saw the news yesterday, I was gutted because it's a chance for Man United to come back with a new owner who has ambition, who invests into the club, buys them a new jacuzzi, and maybe brings in a couple new chefs. But I just look at it like the Super League must be a no-go now. It's not coming back. Hence why FSG are pulling the plug. Glazers are pulling the plug. Liverpool and United were 2 of the top teams in terms of the organisation of the Super League. So I think it goes a long way in saying that. At the same time, you'll have United fans that might say, Ronaldo's interview or the lack of shirt sales in comparison to previous years. I remember a couple of years ago, United shirt sales went down 10%. I'd lean away from that and say that, the future is not as Glazers had planned it, because FSG at Liverpool, they're not at the top of the game, obviously this season in particular, but they're not too far off the top, and they've been one of the top 2 clubs in this country for a long time, Champions League contenders, yet they're still looking to sell. So if it was a case of...
That's why I think it's Super League.
Exactly. If it was a case of other things or, Ronaldo interviews, then I look at Liverpool and say, well, not necessarily, because Liverpool don't have all those issues and their American owners are deciding to pull the plug. So I think it's the Super League coming to an end.
What I don't want is ownership to become what the way managers are seen as so disposable to become, or has become, if that makes sense. I'm not really making a lot of sense, but essentially I don't want a year or 2 of ownership and that's it, Bowley out, or whatever it might be, from Chelsea fans, because I would hope and think, I definitely don't think, but I hope that football clubs can be given to owners, and their purchase of a football club can be overseen by a practice, a system, or whatever that ensures, people who have every intention to do as well as possible with the club, to the point where fans can go, my club is in the best hands with a large, this is now dreaming, not dreaming, but with a large percentage to fans, so that they have their say and there's a degree of fan input into what happens. And then it's everything else below that you worry about. I just think if we get to a point where it's owners come in, they sell after 5 years, owners come in, they sell after 5, then listen, you're always going to have changes of ownership, but you want there to be a degree of
security,
permanent security and structure. And I think that lies with the fans and the people at board level that have been at Arsenal or wherever they're all their lives. But
I've said for many years the Kroenkes are the second worst owners in the league, behind Mike Ashley now being the worst. Reason being because even when I look at the Glazers, they allow Man United to spend a lot of money. I think what they haven't done is be proactive in the detail of the club. And by the detail, I mean the management, the coaching staff, the plan of action, the process.
The backbone at the club.
Yeah, I think they haven't really cared too much about that. But at the same time, you have owners who don't care much about that, but put the right person in place to do that job. I just think in terms of money spent, the Glazers have spent a lot of money, but Man United have spent a lot of money, and the Glazers have allowed that to happen. Yes, my United fans might be screaming at the laptop or TV now saying, it's our money, we make it. I'm not saying you don't. It is your money, you make it. But at the same time, yes, the Glazers have taken a hell of a lot of money out of the club, but Man United have spent a hell of a lot of money as well. A hell of a lot of money that shouldn't result in the lack of success that they've been having. So I just think in terms of them, I think it's just the attention to detail. Whereas with the Kroenkes recently, they've changed their way, their patience with Mikel, their support of Mikel through some of the darkest days I've had as Arsenal fans. It seems like we're coming at the back end and the future is bright now. That's attention to detail. It's obviously they've done their due diligence. They have a plan, a process, a plan, and it's not worked, but working to get us back into where we should be, minimum top 4 Champions League, and then we build off the back of that. So I think Glazers are not the be-all and end-all problem at Man United, so I still have my fingers crossed that new owners come in and it's the same bullshit we've been seeing for 10 years now. But I'm also worried that an owner comes in and Man United have a massive fan base, they make a hell of a lot of money even whilst going through the mud. If you have an owner that pays attention to detail and gets the right people in, and to be honest, Ten Hag's a good manager, so they might be headed places. But for now, they're not, so we'll just chill and take it as it comes.
The dude says, Kroenkes nowadays are okay. I'm, my attention is, what did I say? It's far away from the Kroenkes? No, that's not true, because January's coming up. I want to see that Arteta's being back. But when the Super League happened, and I knew very much where I sat in terms of the ownership, I'm incredibly more open now in terms of, I like what they're doing. I think they've shown a conviction. I think a lot of that is driven by Josh. And I've actually appreciated the communication we have got, whether it's PR, as some people say, whether it's enough, whether it should be more. I'm still appreciative of every 3, 4, 5 months, my timeline will just be filled with quotes from a fan forum or an AGM or something, and I'm like, oh, this is really nice hearing what, whether it be Josh or everyone else in the, it's not Tim Lewis, he doesn't really give quotes, but he is there.
Vinay
Vinay, when you hear kind of what they have to say,
I
like they did one, I think, straight after All Nothing at the start of the new season. They talked about the transfers, then they talked about the All Nothing documentary. It was nice hearing their opinion on it. They're like, we actually liked the documentary, we thought it was good, we thought it would do this, and so there's all things that are going a long way, and it's all supplemented massively by results going right on the pitch. So ultimately, 100%. Without Arteta, none of this is being said.
I got a couple of comments from Richard Turkish talking poop. Kroenkes allow Arsenal to spend the money the club makes. The difference is United generate far more income.
I'm going to get a drink. You've set him off now.
No, I'm just saying, well, what the Kroenkes didn't do is help open up avenues for revenue. They just left us to rot until they could take on full ownership. And yes, on one hand, since they've taken on full ownership, there's been a lot more investment. On the other hand, since they've taken on full ownership, it's been 8th, 5th. So it depends how you want to look at it. And he also goes on to say, well, first at the moment. He also goes on to say, at least the Kroenkes have some sort of vision. The Glazers are clueless. Well, the Glazers have won major honours with Man United. They've won Champions League. They've won Premier League. A lot of that can be attributed to Sir Alex Ferguson, of course. But the Kroenkes had Wenger there for how many years, and we failed to achieve anything close to what the Glazers achieved with Fergie there. So, yes, you know, I still think over the years the Kroenkes have been worse and only second to Mike Ashley. But if you ask me now, of course, I'm liking what I'm seeing. Nothing is forgiven, but I'm willing to see. It's not willing. I have to see if they've changed their ways.
Yep. I'm all in.
Of course you are.
Listen, I'm happy with what they're doing. It's as simple as that. I'm just judging them like I was then on the job they were doing. I'm now judging them today on the job they're doing. I think they are doing. And now I keep mentioning Josh. I really think it's Josh Kroenke's club. I think you know, Dad Stan is the one who is letting him know how much is in the bank account. But I think Josh is the one going, this is how we're going to do it.
I agree.
What was there was something. Yes, we'll end on this. Jay Skizzy, sorry, I'm just laughing. Come in with a... Did Cecil come in the other day, the league table printing?
Oh, he did, man.
I mean, he's ruined it. That's it.
I'm part of that clip now, so when it comes back to bite him, I'm just going to be there in the clip.
It's done, you know.
Taking strays.
You know, that's it. The title's over.
You know, all the comments are going to be like, these Arsenal fans, and I'm just going to be there next to Cecil, holding up... let's not even talk. This guy's out in America enjoying as well.
I think he got a mug as well, you know.
Yeah.
Like, I think he...
Oh, he did.
I think
he
I
did,
saw... I think he's got the mug and the top.
Mug is a good word right now.
Cecil, if you're watching this, we mean every word.
Every word.
You've ruined it. You've absolutely ruined it for us. Yeah. Why did I bring that up? My brain thought of a Kroenke t-shirt to wind you up one day. Maybe if we have serious success.
If we have serious
We'll have some
success,
fun with
please, I don't give a shit. I'll be enjoying it.
I know, it's true. Sorry, but there was this question. Let's go round of the show from Jay Skizzy. Any ex-Arsenal player or academy prospect that you all would like to see back at the club? I know yours. Go on.
Any ex-player academy prospect that you'd like to see back at the club? You said, you know, man, but in what aspect though? Because what are you thinking? I'm going to say Andre Bergkamp or...
No, I was thinking a player. So...
like a Cazorla.
Well, no, Gnabry, like now. Like,
any ex-Arsenal academy prospect.
But maybe they mean Cazorla as a... I know one I would like, which is maybe a weird one. I'd like Fabregas back as a coach.
I like Fabregas. Yeah, I like him a lot.
I just think this guy's played under Pep, Wenger, Mourinho. I don't think I saw somebody he'd like to go into coaching. He's got really interesting takes as well on modern coaching about how robotic football is. He kind of feels that...
He's right.
I mean, he is. And he was part of an era where it was free-flowing, express yourself. And while that still exists in some ways, it feels more harnessed and controlled than ever before.
Oh, he says someone in the game now to clarify, Jay Skizzy.
Right, okay. But yeah, I'd love Fabregas back as a coach in some way, shape or form. I think if Arteta were to just reach the peak he can with Arsenal over 6, 7, 8 years, undoubtedly there'll be another challenge you'll want to take on. I'd like a Fabregas to be ready as a coach. Yeah. I'd like to see what... You know, Santi Cazorla going into coaching? I don't know.
Yeah, well, the other day on that same stream that Cecil done his madness, I had quotes from Cazorla saying how Arteta's one of his best friends in football, how he'd like to come back to Arsenal and coach because, you know, he feels like he's got unfinished business. And when you look at Cazorla's technical ability, I think the youth and the academy and even some of the first teamers would benefit with having him around because his technical ability is... over the years has been up there. I won't say second to none because there's a few players, but Cazorla technically brilliant. And if you're talking about player, I think behind Gnabry, who else would we want to see back at this club that's currently playing?
The only other one maybe Benacer at AC Milan.
When you made your lips, I thought this guy was going to say Bellerin. You went, and I was about to say James. End the stream.
Maybe cover at right back.
All right, cool. But it's a drop off from Gnabry, though.
No, yeah. Benacer's doing good things. Won Serie A. He's that kind of creative midfielder. Maybe we might need not as a 10, as I don't know.
Aya says Guendouzi.
Nah, not for me. Like, listen,
Wolby, Dave says.
I rate Guendouzi's talent for sure, but
that ship has sailed now.
Yeah, Gnabry is the one. Otherwise, Dave says Iwobi is an 8, but you know what it is with Iwobi. I actually like the guy. I actually quite liked him at Arsenal. I think he's one of these players that the opinion is always way too much one way or the other. So recently he's been amazing for Everton in the 8.
Yeah.
But before that, he's one of the worst players I've ever
Yeah.
seen. And the reality is it's neither. Like he's a good, and was for some time at Arsenal. Do you remember when he was playing on the left? And it was like Ozil, Walcott, and then Cazorla and Coquelin, and we had that midfield, and there was a degree of, I think he links well with players. He's got good 1-2. He's got good quick feet in tight spaces, and I think in that system he worked well. And he had a bit of a resurgence under Unai Emery. There's a good player there. There is, but and not for me. But it's a fair shout, Dave. Gnabry is the only one I can think of.
Only one, yeah.
Yeah.
But that ship sailed as well.
Takuma Asano after that goal.
Don't tempt them.
All right, we'll leave it there, guys. Hope you've enjoyed the show. We'll be back again tomorrow, and there's more content. The content that you love, the content that you always see on AFTV is back from this week. That includes the Invincibles podcast with Robbie and Lee, and Ty's been in the building. It's not White Yardie wasn't here, was he?
No, just Ty.
Just Ty. But we miss you, White Yardie. But of course, Ty was in the building with Robbie, and Robbie is heading to Qatar as well, so he'll be covering everything on DR Sports, where every single watch along for the World Cup. In fact, they're live in 2 minutes. So just swipe the tab down. So you still got us talking in the corner. Swipe the tab down. Go on to DR Sports and click on for the game tonight, which is it's escaped me.
Shit. What is the game tonight?
This is such bad promotion.
Oh fuck it. We're not World Cup ambassadors.
We're long in this strip. Belgium. Belgium, Canada.
Yeah.
I knew it was a good game. Yeah, Belgium, Canada. Go scout Jonathan David. Grumpy Doctor, I see you in there complaining about the lack of scouts. Go scout Jonathan David. Let us know how he looks. All right, we'll leave it there, guys. Hope you've enjoyed it. We'll catch you on the next one.
Love.